This is KGCI Real Estate On Air Live, your weekly deep dive into the strategies, trends, and tools shaping the real estate industry. From market updates to actionable strategies and exclusive interviews with top agents, we are here to unlock your full potential and help you thrive. Thousands of agents trust KGCI every week. Now it's your turn. Let's go live. Here's Ian Wheatley.
Hey, good morning. If you are still treating the real estate industry like it's all going to go back to normal, let's be honest, you're not paying attention. And maybe you're thinking that all of this is just noise, nothing's really changing, I'm good where I'm at, my business is fine, all that fun jazz. Okay, but here's the reality. Agent culture is certainly shifting, AI is sprinting, and the biggest brokerages in the game are consolidating faster than a portal refresh, whether that's Redfin, Zillow, Realtor.com. Choose your own adventure there. But your business model, your tech stack, even your license could now be on a countdown that you know absolutely nothing about. That's why this week on Real Estate On Air Live, we're breaking the whole consolidation conversation wide open. Straight from the floor at EXPCon, you'll be hearing from eXp Realty CEO Leo Pareja on the merger madness, what actually matters in brokerage culture, and why the U.S. real estate market is unlike anything else in the world. Plus, we'll hit the housing headlines. Inventory's down, prices are up. The first-time home buyers hit a historic low. Good news, that government shutdown may be ending. Let's check those headlines now. I'm Ian Wheatley. This is Real Estate On Air Live. I recognize this is a big if, but if members of the House can make it back to D.C. in some sufficient numbers, there's a real possibility the shutdown could be over by the end of the week. But in the meantime, agents, heads up, the longest U.S. government shutdown could end, sure, after some Senate Democrats broke ranks to get a spending bill through the Senate over the weekend. But keep this in mind, it ain't over till it's over, and we're dealing with delays still in FHA, VA, USDA loan processing, IRS, SSA, income verification. But probably the biggest issue dealing with is we lack any current data on the state of the economy out of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So agents, make sure that through all this noise of a shutdown ending, that your clients know that the shutdown is still happening, and make sure that you know that answer to the question, why hasn't this closed yet? Well, before anybody starts asking it, all right? Meantime, first-time home buyer shares hit historic lows. They're also older than ever. According to the latest data from the National Association of Realtors, only 21% of buyers last year were first-timers. That is the lowest year ever recorded. Meantime, the median age at 40 for first-time home buyers, as rising costs, student loan debt, and rate pressure are taking its toll. So agents, if your lead gen, if your scripts are all built around the fresh out of college, ready to buy buyer, yeah, that hasn't existed in a decade. Just your messaging. Think later bloomers, dual income earners, career shifting buyers, some areas to fish in. Meantime, home prices, they're still on the rise for most U.S. metros. So if your clients are waiting on that crash, they might be watching prices going the wrong way. According to the latest NAR report, 77% of U.S. metros saw a price increase in Q3. Meantime, the national median price is now right near $407,000, up 2.25% year over year, as 16 metros had double-digit growth, especially in the Midwest and the Northeast. So agents, price resilience, yeah, that's legit. And with inventory still tight, waiting isn't getting anyone a deal. It's just kind of moving those goalposts. And inventory's down, demand's up, but agents are still stuck, according to Housing Wire. The national inventory shrank again last week, while pending sales rose 15.5% year over year. That's not a bad number. Mortgage rates, they have been dipping slightly, but affordability, that's still pretty tight. We talked about that last week in the housing headlines, but agent confidence, that's shaky at best, despite data showing that buyer activity is up. So agents, this is a moment to reframe buyer hesitation and take a look back at those properties that have been on the market for a few weeks or more, right? Closing out the year, inventory slipping, demand's rising. You sure you want to wait till next year? Let's check your housing headlines here on Real Estate On Air Live. I'm Ian Wheatley. KGCI Real Estate on Air. I'm Ian Wheatley, and we are live from the Miami Beach Convention Center here for EXPCon, joined by Leo Pareja, the CEO of eXp Realty. Leo, thanks for popping by to KGCI Real Estate on Air. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
You know, you are, I think, one of the sharpest minds that is in the real estate industry at this point, and you're constantly on the leading edge of what we need to be thinking about next. Now, what I see from my perspective, what I hear you talking about is you're talking a lot about industry consolidation again. Specifically, we have the Compass and Anywhere joining forces that could kind of reshape some brokerage competition that's out there. And I hear you talking about this with eXp Realty agents about this brokerage's culture, its agent-centric model, as being a counterweight to that. I want to unpack that a little bit about what that merger means for the working agent. What do you see as the real motive of the merger? Is it market share? Is it survival? Is it efficiency? What is it?
That's a great question, which I don't think we're qualified to understand because we're not privy to their information. But I think all the things you said are probably, different points that probably went into the decision process. Right. But this transaction has the ability to reshape how U.S. happens and U.S. real estate takes place.
Mm-hmm.
What we enjoy in North America is unique to North America, U.S. and Canada. In the rest of the world, there are no central databases called MLSs. There are no places where agents can have 100% trust that the data is complete, pull comps. There's so much of what happens in this country that is actually taken for granted. We operate in 27 countries, 25 of them outside of North America. And I, have the pleasure of spending time with agents all over the world, depending on the time of year. And just recently in Europe this summer, I got to spend some time with an agent from Portugal and an agent from France who were both native of the US, who actually had real estate licenses. And they said, we take things for granted, like pulling comps, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like figuring out how to price a house is almost a guess. And that homes take much longer to sell. And then even the financing is more complicated because the banks may take longer to figure out what the home is worth. So simple things like a centralized third-party data set make real estate transaction happen faster. I've been on record saying that I think our system in the U.S. creates a liquid real estate market, which is a controversial term, I think, or to be debated term because real estate is not a liquid asset,
right?
Which is a true statement.
Sure.
But I would challenge any real estate in the U.S. to tell me that there's not a price I can price a property, right, depending on the amount of inventory available in that market, where you can't generate 10 offers on a weekend. So meaning, if there's 2 months of inventory, like the lot of the United States experienced for the last 5 years, if you price that property at the last sale, you typically get multiple offers.
Right.
Let's say you're in Southwest Florida today, and for context, this is October of 2025. Highest inventory in the whole country. 11% decline year over year. There is still a price that you can price that property at that's supported by data. You don't have to give it a 50% discount.
Right.
It could be 10%. It could be 20%.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a number where you'll generate 10, 15, 20 offers. And I'm saying this as a place, I sold a lot of foreclosures.
Okay.
And then the worst year in real estate was probably 2010, when there was 18 months of inventory and I couldn't throw a rock and not hit a for sale sign.
Right.
Some banks said, hey, price it 10, 20% below every other comp. And when properties took almost a year and a half to sell, I could still get 10 offers on a weekend. I sold my parents' house in Belize. It took me 4 years to sell it. And I asked the listing agent, I said, what's the price where I'll get 10 offers this week? And they're like, there's no such thing.
No such thing.
There's no such thing. So the reason our market works is because we have this very transparent, cooperative data set. And so if, there's a merger of size and scale, there is a possibility where it could kind of reshuffle how we do things in this country. With that said, we're a close second in size and scale.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there will be a migration of agents from either those companies or independent other franchises who may want to align with a company that has similar values. And so we believe in doing what's right for the consumer from a fiduciary responsibility. All the data says that more exposure is better than less exposure.
In a free market, that intuitively makes sense.
If you had a widget to sell, is it easier to sell it like doing a garage sale in your street?
Right.
Or putting it on Amazon?
It would be easier to sell that on Amazon.
Or TikTok. Right?
There we go.
And so it's all about eyeballs and exposure. So we just believe more exposure is better than less exposure.
Right.
And transparency is important because, I have a real estate broker's license. And when I passed that test, I understand that the paperwork said that I need to put the consumer's financial interest and best interest above my own. And I think that, there's other companies that may have differing philosophies.
Now, when a company scales like eXp Realty, what tends to get better as opposed to maybe other companies that have scaled through debts and scaled through, we're going to absorb and do all stock buys? What is the benefits of growing and scaling as eXp Realty has done it to be able to be that consumer-centric brokerage to support the consumers in a way that is going to meet their fiduciary responsibilities? Well,
a couple of things. So we were founded and scaled without debt or outside equity. And so, Glenn was a practitioner and he made a concerted effort that he wanted to build the most agent-centric company on the planet as the stakeholder. And the philosophy behind that is we're going to do what's right for the consumer, which in turn helps the agent, right? So we've grown organically, meaning that everyone jumped in and is a cultural fit from the get-go versus, sometimes when the only growth model has been acquisition, you end up piecemealing different cultures. And so, there are very good examples of acquisitions and there are very bad examples of acquisitions in the history of commerce and everywhere.
I can think of a few, yeah.
And so, I think it has to come from top-down leadership where they can articulate and explain the culture and then be willing to, integrate everybody into that culture. And so, a lot of it we'll have to wait and see. I can't make predictions. And, you've had me on here before where the settlement, DCP, and there's things we just can't predict. And I prescribe to the philosophy of, look, there is information and you have the right to be upset if you disagree with the information, but I will only allow that for about 24 hours.
Okay, fair enough.
And then you need to decide, okay, cool. This is new information. I may disagree with it, but these are now the rules of engagement going forward. Do I still want to be a market participant? Yes or no? And if the answer is yes, then you get to participate. And if you don't get to participate. And it's that simple. And if you don't want to be a market participant in the real estate industry, there's other industries that are out there.
There are. Now, as we are wrapping up with Leo Pareja, CEO of eXp Realty, we are here at the Miami Beach Convention Center broadcasting live from eXpCon. What lessons should a leader take from just the juxtaposition of the growth of eXp Realty and how it's done it versus what we are anticipating out of this looming merger? And what is the best way to build an agent culture that has lasting impact?
Yeah. So one thing I'm super clear about, and again, I think there's some phenomenal companies in that conglomerate, is that no model is perfect. Not a single real estate company has 100% market share. And so I think there's space for a lot of different models. And I think companies are a collection of people. At the end of the day, you can copy tech stacks, splits, bundles of offering.
Sure.
So at the end of the day, I think people are joining tribes of people that they, have a lot in common with and want to be in relationship with. And so I think agents as independent contractors should just find their tribe. And that's, boils down pretty simply for me.
And when we're thinking about the risk and consolidation, what is the upshot? Is there an upside to this as, agents are maybe moved further away from the center? Is there a benefit to the consolidation that could be looming as you see it?
Yeah, that's a fair question. I think time will tell.
Okay.
And I think in fairness, again, if you look at the history of America, they're typically an earlier part of a cycle of an industry where there's a lot of participants. Take the railroads, take the oil companies.
Yeah.
And then within a decade or two, they consolidate into 3 to 5 players. We've seen it in the airline industry. We've seen it in the hospitality industry. We've seen it in a bunch of industry, like Marriott, Starwood now owns everything,
yes.
Right? And so I would not be surprised if this triggers mass consolidation and over, a 5-year period, there's 3 to 5 emerging very large entities. But I think there's going to be an opportunity for, like, I believe we're the entrepreneurial platform.
Yes.
Right. It's for the more independently minded, less brand centric, but like agent first. And I think there's going to be an appeal for the, brand first. Here's the, Class A space in the center of town, and have a different economic model than us.
And you are a little bit of a prophet there, Leo. Is there anything else that agents need to be keeping an eye on over the next 3, 6, 12 months?
Well, in the 3 to 6, 12 month mark, it's pay attention to how quickly technology is moving. Play with AI, try AI, don't get scared of it, because I think we're early on in the cycle, meaning I think we're playing with Napster and MySpace of AI.
All right.
I don't think Instagram and YouTube have showed up quite yet.
Okay.
And so that should be good news, because you're not late, right? I think I've talked to people who already feel they missed the boat on AI. There's no, MBAs in AI yet, or master degrees, because no one knows anything about generative AI yet.
Right.
It's still forming and becoming. So the analogy I give people is like, what if I could tell you that YouTube was going to become YouTube in 2008? Wouldn't you, been the next Mr. Beast? So stay in curiosity.
That's awesome. Leo, Mr. Pareja, thanks for popping by to KGCI Real Estate on Air, and enjoy the rest of your EXPCon here in Miami.
Thank you so much, Ian.
We sure had more than a handful of incredible Miami moments while we were at EXPCon last month. Again, special thanks to eXp Realty for inviting us down. But these were my top 5 takeaways from that conversation. You just heard again from eXp Realty CEO Leo Pareja right here on Real Estate on Air Live. Number 1, U.S. real estate is uniquely liquid. And that's because of the MLS, right? Leo emphasized that the U.S. and Canada's real estate system is unique in the world for its transparency and speed. I realize as an agent, I often find myself complaining at how long it takes. I'm over here in New York. It does take a little while, okay? But MLS access makes pricing more predictable and transaction timelines faster. And in global markets where they don't have the centralization of the data, agents are often flying blind, and sales can drag on not for weeks or months, but for years. That's wild. Number 2, industry consolidation is coming, but values do still matter, right? Leo did stop short of speculation, but he acknowledged that pending mergers, Compass, Anywhere, could trigger additional consolidation, just like we've seen in railroads, airlines, hotels, radio. But in a post-consolidation world, agents are going to gravitate towards cultures that match their values. Brand first, agent first. Pick your tribe and build your business. Number 3, eXp's no debt, no equity growth is a culture advantage to them, though, as unlike brokerages that have scaled through acquisition and win debt, eXp grew organically, which their CEO argues leads to a stronger cultural alignment and agent experience, because every agent opted in because they believed in that model, not because they were folded in via some stock play or some acquisition or merger. Okay. Number 4, the real risk to an agent, though, it's not the model, it's that misaligned culture, right? And this was a lovely way to look at it, right? Because often, what brokerage is better? That debate, it's a little bit trope, but no real estate company has a 100% market share because no model fits every agent. And customers or clients for that matter as well. What matters most is that agents find alignment not just in tech and in splits, but in people, because a company is a collection of people. And at number 5, this got to the heart of tech and anxiety over artificial intelligence. We are still in the MySpace era of AI, but you ought not to be sleeping on it, right? It's not that AI is scary. It's just, it's early. It's clunky. It's UI is not ideal, okay? Leo compared today's tools to Napster and MySpace. Remember that? Had to go in, MySpace, you had to use code. Oh, you remember that? I remember that, okay? You remember Napster? I don't remember Napster, right? But Leo pointed this out. We are not at the Instagram level, the Facebook level disruption yet for AI, which means agents still have time to get ahead. The key is to stay curious and not be cynical. Test the tools, learn the prompts, and as Leo pointed out, there is no MBA for AI yet. We're all still just trying to figure it out. And let's be honest, looking ahead to Friday, coming up this Friday for our weekly Friday focus here on KGCI Real Estate on Air. You don't have to dance on Reels. You don't have to overshare on Instagram or become the mayor of your local coffee shop to grow a brand. This week on the Friday focus, this is built for agents who would rather crush it quietly. We are breaking down some introvert-friendly branding, right? How to build real presence, trust, and consistency without the burnout or that bullhorn, right? You'll learn brand pillars that speak louder than selfies. You'll learn how to make content that feels easy and not cringy, plus the tools, the scripts, and the structure to show up without showing off, because branding isn't about being loud. It's about being clear. So catch the Friday Focus inside the always free Real Estate On Air mobile app for iPhone and Android, or at realestateonair.fm. Select episodes will be published on the all-new KGCI Real Estate On Air YouTube channel, as well as on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, or wherever you like to listen. So whether you're the loudest voice in the room or the quiet one with the sharpest strategy, just know that your brand can still show up strong. But speaking of showing up, sometimes we show up late, it's awkward, or accidentally send a selfie instead of a CMA. It's time for Real Estate Confessions, because in this business, the only thing more unpredictable than the market is us. Before we get flying, got to get one thing straight.
Real Estate Confessions features stories from the wild world of real estate. Names and details may have been changed to protect the innocent, and occasionally the not-so-innocent. All confessions are shared in good humor and do not reflect the opinions of KGCI Real Estate on Air, its hosts, or affiliates. No agent's licenses were harmed in the making of this segment. Enjoy responsibly.
All right, now that we've gotten those loose ends zipped up, it's time for Real Estate Confessions, because in real estate, truth is stranger than fiction.
I was with a buyer in an old basement wine cellar. It was converted to Halloween storage. I screamed so loud the neighbor next door came outside.
I once left a voicemail so awkward. I had to hang up and call back pretending I was someone else. They called me out, but still worked with me.
I was mid-sentence in a listing presentation when the seller said XYZ.
No judgment, just facts. We've all been there, whether it's the wrong lockbox, the wrong text thread, the wrong house entirely. Confessions remind us that this job is real, and so are we. That's a wrap on this week's Real Estate On Air Live. If today's episode made you think, made you laugh, or finally admit that you might need to update that CRM, do us a solid, share it with your team, save it for your Sunday planning, and stream it anywhere, anytime, in that always free Real Estate On Air mobile app for iPhone and Android, or at realestateonair.fm. I'm Ian Wheatley. Stay smart, stay sharp, and stay just self-aware enough to laugh at yourself and make that submission for a Friday.